How else do you show your appreciation for getting a job of $250 an hour where you've made over $650,000 to date at the taxpayer's expense with no experience? I think you gotta give something for that. I think you gotta give her something. Tonight, can I lick your feet? And you wanna do that for charity? Sure.
What do you mean by that?
I think it's pretty safe to say that 4 words that a woman would not want to hear from her mate would include, "You're not dead already?" This time's up for the ladies. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. It's supposed to say time may be up for some of these ladies. Hello, Jackson County? Yeah, I'd like to put my house in my granny's name. Find out what we're talking about on this week's episode of The Blackman Show. Welcome to the BS. Now let's go. What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, and this is The Blackman Show, a place where we can dissect the news with a little bit of 7 cents. So hit that like button to show YouTube that everybody should get a little bit of this black man. But with that said, let's get to it. First up, if ever there was a time to say right intent, wrong execution, it's right now.
He is devouring those!
Now I have to say, when I saw this, I didn't think it was what people were saying it was.
What the hell is even that?
Now from its initial looks, this looks like some kind of foot licking contest at a school for money involving students and the faculty. So it's not that. Oh, it is that, just minus the faculty? Okay, great. At first I thought this was another teacher's OnlyFans content that would quickly get me demonetized. Oh wait, I'm not monetized yet. Don't forget to subscribe. So what we're seeing under all the graphic cover I could muster is the children of Deer Creek High School in Edmond, Oklahoma, licking peanut butter off each other's toes for charity. That's right, for one day as part of the school's wonderful week of fundraising, students paid to watch and sponsored others' participation in this event, whose over $150,000 in raised proceeds go to Not Your Average Joe Coffee, which is a nonprofit that employs students and adults with learning and physical disabilities in and around the Edmond town. Now, while I can understand the intent behind this, I also can say at least the intent behind the effort makes sense. I mean, who wouldn't want to help out our disadvantaged citizens? I have to say, however, I think there are better ways than creating borderline foot fetish fantasies for faculty involving your fair freshman frolicking for funds. What the I mean, I know we're in the era of if it ain't on video, it didn't happen, but I'm also of the mindset that somebody has to control the fucking brain. I mean, these are kids. These are kids. They may know about the long-term effects of licking somebody's fucking foot for food on film, but you do. You are the adults. Please, act like it. So now the state legislature is investigating the activity, right? Which has resulted in people review bombing the coffee brand, making threats and the like, thinking that adults are involved in this or borderline child prime. But overall, it just puts a bad look on a state so well known for its treatment of children. But what do you think of this one? Would you let your kids lick another's feet for charity? Especially knowing your kids. Would you want anybody to lick your kids' feet? Just let me know your thoughts on this one. And now to Lauren Boebert, the only congresswoman who can make a reality show look like C-SPAN. This week, Boebert's already unique family made the news again when her 18-year-old son Tyler decided to go on what can only be described as a Grand Theft Auto Colorado edition. racking up an impressive 22 criminal charges and 5 felonies, including 4 on possession of criminal documents and a bonus felony count for conspiracy to commit a felony. To me, this achievement unlocks the "Mom, I'm in the news" badge. Meanwhile, Lauren's splitting from her husband, Jason, who's facing allegations that make him seem less like a family man and more like a character from a Desperate Housewives, with her having to miss a speaking engagement due to him threatening that her stuff was, quote, at the bottom of the pond, end quote. And in a twist that M. Night Shyamalan would call a bit much, Boebert's now running for re-election in a different district because nothing says, "I represent the people," like saying, "Not you people, different people." At this point, Boebert's life is less of a political career and more of a season of House of Cards if it was written by Tyler Perry. Next week, it wouldn't be out of the question to see her and her family starting a brand, because honestly, why the hell not? But what do you think of our elected official who makes more headlines for challenging the president and getting felt up than, I don't know, for doing her job? I mean, honestly, is this really the future of politics? This is former NFL player Chad Wheeler, who most recently served as a backup O-lineman for Russell Wilson's Seahawks, to let you know when this was. And this is his former girlfriend, Aaliyah Taylor, who survived Wheeler's series of abuse back in 2021. So here's what happened. Wheeler and Taylor are chilling at the crib, right? When something prompts Wheeler, who does have some mental disorders and who also was not taking his meds at the time on this fateful night, to order Taylor to bow to him. Refusing, Taylor was then struck several times by Wheeler as well as strangled, had her elbow dislocated, and was almost smothered, with him grabbing her face and sticking his fingers down her throat. She accidentally fell unconscious twice, to the point where Wheeler thought she was dead, only to come to and for him to begin again saying, "I thought you were dead already," calmly while eating. Taylor locked herself in the bathroom and called and texted the police and her family. Wheeler broke into the bathroom, grabbing Taylor again, but thankfully the police had arrived by then, with it taking 3 of them plus tasers to subdue the 6'7", 300-pound plus lineman. Since then, after court and being found guilty of first and second degree assault in November of last year, and motions and other filings up the ass to the point that his 2021 crime is finally reaching its 2024 conclusion, Wheeler was sentenced to only 81 months in state prison, or just less than 7 years earlier this week. But with that, I just have to wonder why he wasn't charged with attempted murder. Like, I did a little bit of digging, so I'm sure my search wasn't exhaustive, but I found out the factors that must be present to even establish attempted murder, which include intent, right? Which would be the thought process behind the action, kind of like going to buy a weapon. In this case, he had his hands. Then there's the action itself, which is the second part. And I mean, Wheeler did choke the woman twice, to the point of unconsciousness, twice. And then he uttered, "I thought you were dead already." I mean, to me, that meets the criteria, but I don't know if there were any sort of thoughts or what this could mean for the NFL brand or the like, but it seems the prosecutors, who have all the degrees that your boy 7 doesn't, didn't want to pursue attempted murder for reasons.
Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway.
I'm glad to know I'm not alone in my thinking. But what do you think should have happened in this case? Thinking back to the episode we did a couple weeks back with local KC woman by the name of Mariah Thomas, who was possibly suffering from a mental episode when she put a baby in the oven, turned it on, and unfortunately cooked the child to death. Do we think of Chad Wheeler in the same light? I'd love to know your thoughts on either of these in those comments. Speaking of the legal system, I gotta say, it seems like we're gonna be spending a little bit of time here today, so buckle in. So we're a Kansas City show, so we gotta take a look at a story touched on prior to the creation of the show, and that's the issue of Andy Reid's son. I know that we're all fans of the happy-go-lucky leader of the back-to-back world champion Kansas City Chiefs. They paid me to say, no, they ain't paid me. I'm just playing with it. Who most recently received an A+ rating from players around the league as one of the most liked coaches around. But one has to wonder what's going on with the fruit on that tree. That fruit being Britt, Andy's son and former linebackers coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. So for those needing a refresher, shortly before the Chiefs' 2021 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a liquored up Reid hopped on the I-435-70 exchange where he struck not one, but 2 vehicles that had stopped along the side of the highway, injuring 5 people, including a 5-year-old girl who suffered a traumatic brain injury, leaving her in an 11-day coma. Now, she still is suffering, and the Chiefs have agreed to pay for her lifetime care, considering she will have difficulties for the rest of her life, according to her family's attorney. So where does that leave us today? Well, as a result of his actions, Britt Reid was sentenced in November of 2022 to 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to DWI that led to serious bodily injury. But the reason I'm bringing it up today is because his sentence has been commuted, meaning it's going to be reduced. Now, the governor's office said this is due to his completion of an alcohol abuse treatment program, as well as the fact that he's served more prison time than most individuals convicted of similar offenses. And it comes with the conditions of probation, weekly meetings with his PO, and behavioral counseling and peer support groups, as well as community service. I guess it was a good thing that Parsons was at the Chiefs' victory rally, right? But with all that, even with the Chiefs footing the bill for the young girl whose life has forever been changed, do we think this is enough? I mean, that's all I really want to know. Thankfully, I haven't had to deal with this as a parent, to see your child's life irreversibly changed right there in front of you, and you can do absolutely nothing about it. But I have dated a woman who was guilty of doing that very thing that Britt did to a degree. Thankfully, there were no children involved, but still, I was able to witness her grief, and I can only imagine what this young lady's and the Reid families are going through with all of this, you know what I'm saying? But I'd love to know your thoughts on this in those comments. So we've talked about this on several occasions, and today brings some relief to a certain sector of Missourians, the seniors. And what I'm talking about is, in particular, in Jackson County. That's right, home of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Royals, whether downtown or not. Preferably not. But yes, Jackson County. Now, if you remember last time, taxpayers were hit with outrageous tax assessments on their homes. Many citizens saw anything from a 7% increase, like Jackson County Executive Frank White, to upwards of 200% or more for many seniors in the area. As a result, many measures have been introduced in order to slow down, if not halt, the upcoming changes altogether, like a class action suit against the county, a class action suit against the company that supposedly performed the assessments, or a plan to potentially roll out the tax increases incrementally. But all fell short, and the state ended up basically saying, yeah, we know this was done wrong, but you still owe. I swear, you gotta love it when they just pull money that you owe out of thin air and hold you accountable for it. Good old economics. But there is some relief for taxpayers of Jackson County. So if you are a person who is receiving or eligible for Social Security, then you may be eligible for property tax freeze, which would mean whatever your tax is in 2024, that's what it'll be for the duration, however long that is, or until you mess up. So here's what I mean. Say you have a home and you and it meet all those criteria, right? Well, there's no timeline in place for when you'll hear back. So it could be this year, it could be next year, who knows? Then, while it's great that if you are approved that you'll receive that freeze on your tax bill, you still have to apply every single year. But remember, there's no timeline on when you hear back. Then, let's say you're behind on your taxes. You know, fixed incomes being fickle as they are, doesn't matter. Ineligible. Also, if you move to another home, that tax freeze doesn't go with you. You have to reapply again, or ineligible. I wonder about those rare occasions where there's a home valued at $549,000 that suddenly gets reassessed at $555,000 the next year. Like, are you automatically kicked off the program, or are you ineligible as well? And there's also a quad pay program that seniors can apply for that'll allow them to spread tax payments over 4 installments, but it has its own eligibility requirements. If you qualify for both, you can participate in both simultaneously. So there is that. So if you're someone whose parents previously used to put the lights and gas in the baby's name, now you're grown, it's time to return the favor and keep your taxes low. Call up Granny, dig up Big Daddy, get those socials, and put your house in their name so you don't have to worry about taxes for a while. I'm sure this is gonna happen. I'm sure this is gonna happen. Somebody's gonna do this. I have to say, this Fani Willis trial has taken quite a few turns since the last time I spoke on it, and honestly, it's looking like your boy was absolutely wrong about where things are going. Because initially, I figured there wasn't much more than a spectacle being created. I mean, I told you I ain't got no law degree. I got degrees. I ain't got no JDs. Degrees, no JDs. Now, for those of you unaware of what's going on, here are the big details. Fani Willis takes office in 2021, opening an investigation into Trump's election interference into the 2020 election in February. In November, Mojo's own, for y'all who know, you know, Nathan Wade gets hired as the special prosecutor in the investigation with no RICO experience at a rate of $250 an hour. I'm sorry, I gotta keep saying this. No experience. Dude went from traffic tickets, and he was a municipal judge. Municipal judges deal with like petty theft, carjackings, maybe simple injury. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude went from that to prosecuting the president of the United States of America? Bruh. The very next day after this man gets hired, he files for divorce. And then by October of the next year, 2022, Wade and Willis were traveling together on Wade's dime, but not directly, because anytime he paid for a trip with Fani, she would pay him back in cash, for which he never kept the receipt and never deposited the cash, which was in the thousands. So then by August of 2023, Drumpf and 18 other conspirators are charged in a 41-count indictment, saying that they acted as a criminal enterprise in an attempt to subvert the election results in Georgia, leading Drumpf to beg for 11,780 votes. On record. On record. It's on freaking record. By January of this year, Michael Roman's attorney, Ashley Merchant, and by the way, Michael Roman was one of Trump's co-conspirators, but Ashley filed a motion seeking to disqualify Willis and Wade based on their inappropriate relationship, in which it's alleged that Fani got non-financial kickbacks as a result of her hiring Wade from the trips and the high-value peen that he was slinging now. I mean, he had to show his appreciation, right? How else do you show your appreciation for getting a job of $250 an hour where you've made over $650,000 to date at the taxpayer's expense with no experience? I think you gotta give something for that. I think you gotta give her something. Paying the piper, in this case, was laying the piping. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But all of that led to the case and the breakdowns we've seen to this point. And while initially I was thinking there wasn't much there, because I'm silly enough to think the main thing should be the main thing. I mean, your boy Drumpf tried to steal an election. The fact is, this just looks bad for Willis and Wade. And here's what I mean. I mean, first of all, she was incredulous, right? So she came into the place tight, indignant, aggressive, and again, and maybe that was her strategy and she thought it was gonna work. But I'm just thinking, in that sense, in that space, it didn't come across the way that she wanted it to come across. And I'm thinking the main thing is the main thing. So I'm thinking it doesn't really matter what she's talking about, because, you know, we know at the end of the day we need to be focused on Trump. That's the way I'm thinking. But no, the fact is, I mean, and let's be real, when she comes in with all that attitude and all that indignation, it makes her look guilty. It makes her look like Trump. And Trump does that all the time. I'm just saying, like, you're a professional. Why is your father in your case? Why is your father on trial? You see what I'm saying? I mean, not on trial, but why is he testifying on your behalf? Why do you need to? Because you sitting there telling lies like, my daddy told me. You're 50 years old and you still talking about my daddy told me? Come on, man. Really? And people gotta bring him in and be like, sir, did you tell her? Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? What are we talking about here, for real? You know what I'm saying? And then you got Terrence Bradley, who was much more given in his text messages directly with Ashley Merchant, over 400 to be exact, that went all the way back to September than he was in the actual testimony, because it was wild. In the text messages, he was just giving, yeah, he said this, he said, and they did this, and they be doing this. Saying, like he was doing action, he was using action verbs. Again, linguist in me is saying he's speaking in action. Like he's speaking from a position of knowledge. However, when he was on trial, sorry, I keep saying on trial, but when he was giving his testimony, everything he said was under speculation, or he couldn't recall, or, and it just seemed like he was trying to hide the real facts. But I don't know. Part of me kind of thinks that there was some sort of letdown, maybe. I want to say maybe there was some sort of letdown that he felt in regard to Ashley Merchant, because she did say at one time in the text messages that she would protect him, even though he agreed to be subpoenaed by her. I think this guy is a bad lawyer. I just think he's a bad lawyer. So you're sitting there saying that the information is privy to attorney-client, but you already gave it. And now you're sitting here in your testimony, saying that, well, this is privileged information. If you don't stop, for real, like what are you doing? So basically, you lied on the stand. I mean, Terrence Bradley lied on the stand. That's what it's saying. That's the way it seems to me. And people who have degrees, you know what I'm saying? So y'all let me know what you think. I personally think Mr. Bradley lied on that. And then can anybody tell me? I wish somebody could tell me or find out, put it in the comments or something, hit me up on the inbox, whatever, send me an email, whatever. Let me know what the heck happened between Bradley and Wade. What happened between them two? Why are they so? Why what got Bradley so hot to the point where he's decided to ruin this entire? Now I will say that these people everything that they were doing is messy any damn way. Everything that Wade and Willis were doing, they're being messy about it any damn way. They just are. But besides that point, a lot of the information that Roman's attorney, Ashley Merchant, has wouldn't be in her possession if it wasn't for the fact that Bradley gave it to her. So why is he giving her this information? You know what I'm saying? What transpired between these two brothers to the fact that Bradley feels like he gotta tell it all? What happened? Please, somebody tell me. There was at some point when Bradley was representing Willis in his divorce as his divorce attorney, there was some point at which Bradley and Wade were working at the same law firm. There was some point at which Bradley was accused of SA in the workplace. There was some point at which Bradley left said law firm, leaving tens of thousands of dollars in escrow, which presumably went to said woman who filed the SA complaint, which sounds more like hush-hush money. But these are things that have come out already. So these are things we know. I just want to know what got the ball rolling for real. Like, I don't know. I'm invested I'm a little too invested, but I want to know what's going on right there. Anyway, then you had the back and forth happening over the past weeks, leading to the closing statements by both sides. And I will have to say, Trump's side looked really strong. They did. They looked strong. They looked strong. While Willis's guy, he seemed to be unsure of what he was saying, to the point where even a judge, Scott McAfee, or is it McAfee? Either way, had to stop him several times for clarity. Now that closing statements have been made, Judge McAfee, who coincidentally made donations to Willis's campaign as she ran for district attorney, will be judging on the relevance of the evidence given to decide. One thing, was the relationship made under faulty premises? The second thing, did that relationship lead to Wade's hiring? And the third thing, did Willis directly benefit as a result of said hiring? Now, Ashley Merchant has been subpoenaed by the Georgia Senate to appear this Thursday in a state investigation into Willis and her actions, in an attempt to right the wrongs and better establish policy to prevent someone else from copying Willis's actions.
Use your common sense.
Now, as far as Fani and her actions, I don't know. I just think what she was doing was she just went about it wrong. I know a lot of sisters, black or otherwise, love to act like they can do anything a man can do. And I'm here to say that ain't true. And this is on so many levels. And look, there's a whole bunch of things that we can't do that y'all can. Let's not do this. Personally, I think that only goes but so far, and that goes for Fani Willis, Elizabeth Holmes, Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, the New Orleans mayor, LaToya Cantrell, and her action. You know, all of these strong, single women with power doing stuff to get them caught up. I mean, look, if you're gonna play that game, you have to play it while still being yourselves, ladies. Now, I'm not blaming it on anything, but I'm also not sweeping it on the rug just because it's us. And I'll also add that as black people, we gotta realize that when we do most things, the radar is on high alert. So while two can play that game, maybe a nice Morris Chestnut movie from 2001, I wouldn't use that as a strategy that involves my career, my future, and the biggest case I've ever tried. But that's me. What are your thoughts on the Willis case? Do you think that she stands a chance to remain on the case? Do you think Wade is through? And why do you think he and Bradley blew up to the point that Bradley is basically the star witness, telling all the business? I'd love to know your thoughts. But with that said, this has been The Black Man Show. Once again, this is 7 Black Men inviting you to peep out our merch found at theblackmanshow.com. Follow the show on all the socials. That's Show The Black Man, where you can send whatever clips you want to this black man to react to for our Ask a Black Man segment. And I have to apologize. I was supposed to do a Ask a Black Man segment last weekend, but life be lifing, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. To the community, I apologize, and I promise you I will get one out very soon. And I think you all like the topic because it has something to deal with that 50 episode TikTok of the lady that went out. One of my brothers sent that to me and let me know that he was like, you ought to check this out. It's hilarious. But you can also drop me a line at tbs@theblackmanshow.com and put in the subject line, Ask a Black Man. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, I invite you to hit the like, hit the subscribe button, share this video with your peeps, and even hit the notification bell. I thank you all for watching this far. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. So please, until next time, take care of each other. Peace. And I'm out.